All right. I'll open the Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Iredell County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please, in silent prayer, remember those who have lost their lives in the tornadoes in Tennessee, and to ask for the people's will be done as the results are counted this evening. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, as you note, Commissioner Haupt is unable to be here since it is a primary election today, and he is working the rope line. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, sir, Chairman Mallory. We do have two adjustments, and both of them are additions under new business. The first is the coronavirus update and presentation with our health department, and the second is the consideration of a resolution for House Bill 966 requested by Senator Sawyer.
Okay. Any other additions or changes to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Motion to approve the pre-agenda.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Norman. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. We have no special recognitions or awards this evening. We do have two appointments before the board. Item 7.1 is a request from the Iredell County Library for approval of the library's strategic plan for fiscal year 21 through 25. And I believe we have a guest with us this evening, Dr. Robert Bergen.
Yes. Dr. Bergen is the consultant that we've been working with over the course of the year. Last year we wrote a grant to develop a strategic plan and to hire an outside consultant, and when that was awarded, we were able to start our work with Dr. Bergen. And he comes to us with a lot of experience. He has 9 years of public library administration experience, having served as an associate director in Forsyth County, a director in Wayne County, an associate director in Onslow County. He's also served as the assistant state librarian for the state of North Carolina, and he's been a faculty instructor for information science, library and information science at North Carolina Central University for a number of years too. And we previously worked with Dr. Bergen in 2009 on our technology plan. And so now I would like to introduce and bring Dr. Bergen up.
Oops. Thank you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you tonight and share the library's strategic plan. We've been working on this since about July. As Julie mentioned, she and her staff wrote a grant to the state library to get the funding to allow me to come down and work with them on this. It is by and large the product of the staff, because I do my work and then I get them involved and kind of turn it over to them, because they're the real experts. They know more about Iredell County and more about the library than I ever will. And so I think we've put together a very nice plan. And as Julie mentioned, this is a 5-year plan, so we're trying to look at what the library needs to do from fiscal year 2021 through 2025. This was funded by a federal grant. The Library Services and Technology Act is federal money, but it's administered in every state by the state library. And so Julie and her staff put together a grant application to the state library, and it was funded, and again, it allowed me to work with them. Again, the idea is we want to define the library's future. We don't want to be reacting to whatever happens. We want to be, looking ahead and trying to put together a plan of action so we can, serve the citizens of Iredell County with the best library service we can. We know we can't do everything for everybody, so we want to focus on meeting the specific needs of the community that we're serving here in Iredell County. And so consequently, that went the wrong way. Consequently, we began with a survey of the users and the non-users in the county, as well as the library staff. And we had roughly 1,700 people respond to that survey, which is the biggest survey response I have had in the years that I've been doing these. So we were really pleased and feel like we got a good representation from the citizens of Iredell County. We also looked at the demographic data for the county, the census data. We looked at library usage and funding and technology data because every year Julie has to report certain statistics to the state library, so we could look at them and compare how Iredell County is doing versus the rest of the state. We interviewed a number of people, both on the staff and community leaders as well. We held 5 focus groups, 2 community forums, and then again I worked with a team of staff members from the library, and I think, again, they were a lot of fun to work with and did a terrific job in pulling this together. I just want to give you a flavor of some of the things we looked at. I don't want to go through all of the demographic data, but for example, Iredell County is a young county. It is slightly younger than the rest of the state. I think the percentage of people under 18, you all rank 11th in the state. So it's a very young group. Well, consequently, that means the library needs to focus on those young people. And as you will see, goal 2 of the plan is called Creating Readers, where we want to focus on the life skills and social interaction skills that those young people need. We want to focus on early literacy and having those preschoolers ready to learn when they hit school. We want to focus on lifelong learning and digital literacy so those kids, will have those skills as they grow up. We want to focus on reading and listening and viewing for pleasure so that they have the books and materials that really turn them on to reading and learning. And we want to, of course, continue the summer reading program, which the library provides currently. So this is a good example of how the demographic data leads the staff in a certain direction. You've got a young population, so yes, let's focus on those young people and create readers. We also looked at demographic trends, and this is another example. Over the past 10 years, compared to the rest of the state, Iredell County has seen a stronger growth in the Hispanic population. And consequently, the library staff included in the plan an objective to work continually to improve the services and communication with the Hispanic community. So you have a growing population in this area. The library wants to recognize that and do the work they can with those folks. We also, again, did a survey of the citizens, as I mentioned, and had a good response rate. One of the things we found out, we asked people, what limits your use of the library? And one of the things they mentioned was inconvenient library hours. And so, again, consequently, the plan includes an objective to implement Sunday hours at the Statesville branch. And, again, that is a recognition of a finding that came directly from the survey of the citizens. So, the plan itself begins with a mission statement, and the library's mission will be to enrich the lives of everyone in Iredell County by supporting, empowering, and educating them to be the best they can be. And you're going to see the library's tagline is going to be support, empower, educate, because those are the 3 things the library staff really wants to put the focus on. And the vision, which is what we want to see the library become, is a vibrant hub of activity that celebrates the diverse community and culture of Iredell County, shares stories of the past and present, and promotes a prosperous future. So, again, you'll see how this plays out in some of the details of the plan. But this is the mission and vision that drives everything. There were 5 strategic goals, and I'd like for the library to focus in on 4 or 5 areas where they can try to be the best, possible library, provide the best service in 4 or 5 specific areas. And so the first area was welcoming spaces. Over the next 5 years, the library wants everyone to have comfortable and welcoming space that reflects their diverse needs, as well as open and accessible virtual spaces that support learning and social network. And so you'll see in the plan, one of the objectives is to improve the online spaces, because one of the things we found out in the survey, to no one's surprise, is that more and more people access the library's website and find that very valuable in helping them know what's going on at the library. Second objective was improving accessibility, so that the physical spaces and the virtual spaces are as accessible to the citizens as possible. And part of that, as you see in Objective 3, is revitalizing the library's physical spaces. And there are specific bullet points about both the Town of Harmony's library, which needs an ADA-compliant entrance door and a meeting room, and also the library in Troutman, which needs a meeting room as well. And so there are action items that the library would meet with the officials in Troutman and Harmony and try to get the work done to make those things happen. The second goal has to do with creating readers, as I mentioned earlier. And the idea is that children and teens throughout the county will be supported, empowered, and educated through reading and learning opportunities. And again, the objectives, as you see, first to develop life skills and social interaction for that age group. This is the 18 and below group. Promote early literacy and school readiness is Objective 2, and that focuses primarily on those preschoolers, so they'll be ready to learn when they hit school. Objective 3, encouraging lifelong learning and digital literacy. Things like the Student Access Program that you all are probably familiar with. Objective 4, support reading, listening, and viewing for pleasure. Things like the book clubs for young people that the library offers. And then Objective 5, continue offering the summer reading programs. That has been very successful for the library. Goal 2 was about the younger age group. Goal 3 is really about the adults. Lifelong learning. Adults will be supported, empowered, and educated through a variety of library programs, resources, and services designed to enhance the quality of life. The first objective is helping develop life skills and social interaction for this age group. Second, encourage lifelong learning and digital literacy, again for this age group. And Objective 3, supporting reading, viewing, and listening for pleasure. And then Goal 4 focuses in on discovering your heritage. You all have, as I'm sure you know, a really fine local history genealogy collection. And I think the plan is going to focus on bringing that to the next level. The goal is that everyone will have the resources they need to connect the past with the present, either through their family histories and to understand the history and traditions of Iredell County. Objective 1 will be to expand the local history room's physical and digital spaces and the staff. I'm going to request expansion of the local history room, request a full-time staff member, absorb the Genealogy Society's collection into the library's collection, and things of that nature. Objective 2 is to increase awareness of the materials available in the local history collection. And again, brand the room with a name and a logo, use online platforms to better market the materials that you have and make people aware of all the rich resources that are available at the library in this area. And then finally, Goal 5 is access for all. The Iredell County Public Library staff will engage the community and build positive relationships through an expansion of services, marketing, outreach, and community partnerships. Things like expansion of services, which includes implementing Sunday hours at the Statesville branch, again, in response to what we found in the public survey. Implementing a mobile library is another idea that would come under expanding services. Objective 2, creating mutually beneficial partnerships. Again, working constantly to improve, part of that is to improve services to the Hispanic community because there are groups working with that community already, but that would include working with the schools and other groups within the community. Objective 3, addressing barriers, whether those are physical barriers or barriers to accessibility, or even something like phasing out overdue fines. And then Objective 4, providing a well-trained and compassionate staff. As I'm sure you all know, your staff is one of the best resources you have. You have some amazing staff members, and I've really enjoyed getting to know and work with them. And they're very, very talented people. In fact, one of them put together this PowerPoint because I'm graphically challenged. And she basically came in a few minutes, put this presentation together for me. So she did a terrific job. And that's just an example of the kind of staff you all have. And so that is, in essence, the plan and the five, going backwards again, the 5 goal areas. If there are any questions or comments, Julie and I would be more than happy to respond.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Bergen. I tell you, we got a glimpse of a lot of these goals and vision when we had our retreat at the library just the other week, and we're able to see on the ground a lot of goals that have been realized and talked about future objectives, and clearly this whole process had crystallized that and focused it, and there's a lot of energy in terms of a desire to accomplish those objectives. So thank you for your expertise and your time and in developing this, and then we'll work closely with Julie and her staff to figure out, okay, how do we provide the resources in order to accomplish the desired objectives.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to work with Julie and the staff. You've got a good director here. So.
Are there any additional questions or comments?
No,
okay. Thank you so much, Julie. Is there a motion to approve the County Public Library Strategic Plan as proposed?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Norman. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. The second item, an appointment. Jane Henson will, from our Public Health Department, will give us an overview of a presentation that we heard at the pre-agenda concerning an update on the coronavirus and the actions that are being taken statewide and locally to be able to be prepared and get usable information out to people so that people can prudently plan and prepare and not panic or do things that are not indicated and that can produce as much harm as good in the process.
Thank you.
So,
we're glad to be
Jane's
here.
going to be able to hit the wave tops and be able to let people know what's going on.
Okay. I want to introduce you to Samantha Miggett, our Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, who developed these slides that we will post on a coronavirus page on our website. So if the citizens are interested in getting links or more information, we'll have that available in the near future.
So what is COVID-19? This is novel coronavirus. When I say novel, I mean new. It's a new strain of the virus that we're seeing. It's a respiratory illness that can spread from person to person. It was first identified in Wuhan, China. The risk of infection is dependent on how you're exposed to the virus. Currently, the risk to North Carolinians is low. There has been one travel-associated case that has been identified in North Carolina as of this afternoon, but that person traveled to an area where there was more virus going on and then came back to North Carolina. So the risk to North Carolinians is low. The symptoms that we are seeing with coronavirus or COVID-19 include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. These mimic a lot of the flu-like symptoms also. So it's important that we look at travel to affected areas to determine if a person would maybe have coronavirus versus the flu. It started from an animal and spread to humans. It can now be spread from person to person through coughing, sneezing, or touching an object with the virus on it, and then touching your nose, your mouth, or your hands before washing your hands. Close personal contact with someone that has COVID-19 could also cause spread of the virus, most commonly in healthcare workers that would be treating someone that is sick. The COVID outbreak is very evolving. It's changing very rapidly. There is now one case in North Carolina as of this afternoon. There are over 80,000 cases worldwide. In the U.S., there is currently 108 cases, and there have been 6 deaths. But again, it is very important if you want quantitative data on the outbreak to check the CDC website for the most up-to-date information. When any illness is known in the healthcare community, a case definition is tied to that for physicians to use to do a diagnosis, to determine if laboratory tests need to occur. And this is the current case definition. It may change again as we progress through this. So again, look at the CDC website for more updates. There are current travel advisories for countries that have community-wide transmission: China, Iran, Italy, Japan, and South Korea. You can, again, look on the CDC website for the most up-to-date information about travel alerts. And now Jane will provide information on health department actions.
Thank you, Samantha.
And we've been working closely listening to numerous webinars and phone calls with the CDC and Department of Health and Human Services Division of Public Health. We have an internal epidemiology team that meets regularly, and we have been meeting numerous times in regards to coronavirus to make sure we are prepared for that if that were to come in Iredell County. And we are also notified by DHHS if there are any travelers that have come from affected areas, come from China. They're not symptomatic. If they come from the Wuhan area, they are automatically quarantined for 14 days. But if they come from other parts of China and they're asymptomatic, they are free to travel back home. If they were Iredell County resident, we would be notified and we would monitor them through phone conversation every day for 14 days to make sure they are asymptomatic and don't have a fever. We have been meeting regularly to evaluate our plans, weekly phone calls with the CDC, DHHS, hospitals, and EMS. We've been disseminating information throughout the community through electronic media, through blast fax, our schools, our daycares, EMS, law enforcement, county departments, municipalities, emergency management, fire. We've also contacted our labs to make sure they have the materials they need to do testing. sent information to nursing homes and both of our chambers in Statesville and Mooresville, because there's particular guidance related to businesses and how they need to plan. Make sure they have a continuity of operations plan. They have backup. Will they allow staff to work from home? Are they cross-training? All those are important things for our businesses to be concerned about. Fielding calls, of course, from the healthcare community and the public, and continuing to ask travel questions for our clients when they come in. And we recommend all healthcare providers that you ask, have they traveled to any of these areas that Sam's described? It's very important, because if they've traveled there, there's a possibility they've been exposed, and you want to make sure that you can isolate them very quickly and limit the number of individuals that are having contact with them. We also work with EMS and the 911 call center to modify their call guidance protocol for 911. We've done an internal inventory of our personal protective equipment, our N95 respirators, our surgical masks, gowns, gloves, goggles, and our lab supplies to make sure that we have what we need to protect our staff. We also coordinate the Iredell County Healthcare Preparedness Committee. We have been meeting since Ebola, and that's with all of our healthcare systems, 911, emergency management. And we met last week to specifically plan as a community, as a county, related to coronavirus. We developed a flow chart, contact information. We're available 24/7, so that if anyone, any healthcare system has a concern, do I need to test this individual? Tests have to be approved. We would be the conduit to DHHS that would approve that testing, which could be done at the state lab through an orangeal swab, a nasal swab, and a sputum culture. We review guidance daily. As Sam said, if you go on the CDC website today, we may have guidance. It may change by tomorrow, because this is such a fluid situation. The guidance is rapidly evolving. And we have a clear, unified message, the same message that DHHS has. We will not release information in regards to numbers if we are monitoring individuals or have any person under investigation, and that is coming from the guidance of DHHS. They have developed a hotline number that we'll share with the community, 1-866-462-3821. And in the near future, on our website, you should be able to get information not only related to the CDC and DHHS, but simple guidance. What cleaning products are effective against coronavirus? Because those are the types of questions that we're getting from the community. And because there is not a medication, there's not a vaccine that you can take, because this is a novel or new virus, common sense measures, non-pharmaceutical measures and interventions are very important. And this would also help someone prevent from getting exposed to the flu. But just make sure that if you are sick, you don't go to work. You don't send your child to school sick so they are exposing other people. If you're a teacher, don't go to school sick because you're exposing children. Don't touch your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. If you do sneeze, make sure you're using a Kleenex. And now is the time, because it is flu season, to make sure you're disinfecting and cleaning. We do that at the office. If someone's sick, we're going to disinfect. Make sure that the environment is clean. Avoid close contact. Social distancing is very important. 6 feet or more is what's certainly recommending. It's the time to consider, do you really want to go to a mass gathering when people are coughing and sneezing? Those are the types of things that we'll be looking at if this evolves further. And make sure you wash your hands with soap and water at least 20 seconds. That's very important. And these are links that will be posted on our website. There's guidance documents from the CDC, from law enforcement to EMS, mass gatherings, schools, daycares, healthcare workers, healthcare institutions. They are doing an excellent job of making sure for specific populations they have that guidance information. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Henson? I think we probably exhausted you with our questions or my questions or whatever at the earlier presentation. I thought it was important for everyone to hear that our public health department is leaning forward, being proactive, is engaging with multiple entities and stakeholders, EMS, healthcare providers, to have a coordinated response. People should be confident in their awareness, up-to-date information. They're sharing all this is completely transparent. They share all this information that's updated from the CDC on our website. You can go to links. This is not something you get the best information from the internet in some other place or in a text or in a tweet. The best information is right here. Everyone from the White House to your house is on the same page and needs to be focused on what the CDC gets out because they get us the latest information.
Right.
And bottom line, people need to be aware, be self-aware. If we were having a heavy flu season, you'd need to do nothing different than you would do to try to not be shaking people's hands, not be getting in their face, coughing into your elbow and not, into your hands, and just not touching a lot of things you don't need to touch, and wash your hands periodically. And I think it's even up to 32 seconds now. But if it's not washing their hands, using the antibacterial hand stuff. So people need to be aware the real information's out here at your fingertips. And don't hesitate to contact the health department if you have questions that can't be answered, you can't find the information.
Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Do what you can to protect yourself. Be prepared to take care of yourself. Be prepared to take care of others. And don't wait until it's upon you to do any of those things. Plan ahead.
We are hearing through the information presentation we had from a physician at Emory that the most vulnerable population is our elderly.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to have gotten the kids.
Right. You're exactly right.
They seem to be able to survive it.
Mm-hmm. In fact, they can be a carrier and have very little symptoms.
I tell my kids to stay in their hula hoop. Be touching everything.
That's right. Okay, well, thank you again,
Thank you.
Samantha and Jane, for your presentation this evening. It was a short notice kind of request, but there's a lot of movement, fast-moving information, and we need to be making sure we're getting the right information to the right people in the right time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to a public hearing to consider an economic incentive for Project Ballast. And Chris Younger from the Iredell County Economic Development Corporation will be presenting that. And we do want to recognize Jen Bozer, who is here, President.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Jen and I both would like to thank you for allowing us to present this project incentive in front of you this evening to our board and to our chairman. The Iredell County Economic Development Board, or Economic Development, we are proud to announce that ZND US, Inc., also known as Project Ballast, their plans to locate their new facility in Statesville, North Carolina. Established in 1965 and headquartered in Valkenswaard in the Netherlands, they manufacture temporary and safety fencing products with the construction and event industries as key end markets. Panel fencing and pedestrian barriers are a few of their products that you may have seen around before. Their largest manufacturing base is in the United Kingdom, with additional manufacturing sites in the Netherlands and Poland. They'd be taking ownership of the previous Iron World manufacturing facility located at 214 James Farm Road in Statesville. Facility is 72,210 square feet, sits on 42 acres. It's been vacant for almost a year. ZND US anticipates creating up to 43 new full-time positions and generate up to $5.7 million in new tax investment over the next 5 years, which will include between $400,000 and $900,000 in renovations to the property, and as they recently just informed us, possibly up to $1.5 million, depending on the renovations. In accordance to the Iredell County Industrial Development Incentive Program, we are requesting an economic development incentive be granted to ZND US, Inc., previously known as Project Ballast, for 5 years, totaling up to $94,000, which averages approximately $18,800 per year. On behalf of the Iredell County Economic Development Corporation, we thank you for your time and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Younger. Are there any questions for Mr. Younger? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. I don't see that anyone has signed up. I'm looking out, I see the usual suspects, and no one else appears to be here to be heard. So I will close the public hearing and ask if there's a motion.
This one's for project coupling that y'all gave.
Ballast
It's in your,
on the bottom of the.
It's in your packet.
Lisa, I have them at the bottom if you want to read.
Okay, here's the motion. All right, do a different one. All right, good enough.
You have it?
I'll make the motion to approve an economic incentive up to $94,000 over a 5-year period based on the company's investment of $5.7 million and contingent upon a contract being executed within 180 days.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
We thank you very much. And the new U.S. company president, James Murphy, he was in town last night, was able to attend the city meeting, but he had to leave to head out to Utah today for some business, so he wasn't able to be here. Sends his apologies, but he does thank you very much for the opportunity for them to be here, locate here. They're very excited to be here. They picked Statesville and the facilities after searching about and touring over 70 facilities throughout several states with an attractive offer from South Carolina, but they felt was just not as attractive as North Carolina, along with our workforce and the people we have here. So they're very excited to be here, ready to open up and get to renovating the property and have a grand opening hopefully in about 4 or 5 months that they'll invite you all to. And they also have a new vice president now. Her name's Jennifer. And so you'll meet both of them when the grand opening occurs, and they're ready to get started. So they wanted us to express that to you.
Very good. It's good to hear just another validation of the fact that at the end of the day, it's the workforce that makes the difference. And South Carolina throws a lot of incentives at companies, so we're very competitive where it counts.
Thank you.
So, thank you. We'll now move on to item 8, administrative matters that were appropriate for our consent agenda. These are rather technical issues that were discussed at our pre-agenda meeting, which is open to the public at 5 o'clock. And at this time, I would ask our county manager, Ms. Jones, to please summarize these.
Thank you, Chairman Mallory. The first item is a request from Parks and Recreation for approval of Budget Amendment Number 22 in the amount of $4,000, which is donated by the Rotary Club of Statesville to help build a new picnic shelter at the Ropes Challenge course located at Jennings Park. There's a request from Planning and Development to call for a public hearing on March the 17th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in regard to a text amendment to the Land Development Code. After much discussion, it was agreed by consensus to defer this to the Economic Development Task Force for a thorough review, which will be brought back up in 30 days to the Board of County Commissioners to consider calling for that public hearing at that point. There was a request from Planning and Development for endorsement of the North-South Parkway Sub-Area Study. And then finally, a request from the clerk to the board for approval of minutes from the meeting on January the 21st and February the 4th with one change.
Okay. Any further discussion on any of these items? Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Norman. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. I would like to say a special thanks to the Rotary Club of Statesville. We actually received a representative check for the $4,000, which covers about 1/3 of the cost of this picnic shelter at Jennings Park. We have no vacancies on any boards or commissions to announce this evening. We have one pending appointment to a board which is going to be deferred.
It will be tabled pending, we'll be getting a map and application and bring that back to the board on March the 17th.
Okay, very good. Item 11, any unfinished business? Hearing none. It is not a public comment period. New business. We have one item, which is a proposed resolution in support of House Bill 966. I'd like to read that resolution, and then we can discuss and vote. Resolution of Iredell County Board of Commissioners, whereas House Bill 966, titled An Act to Make Base Budget Appropriations for Current Operations of State Agencies, Departments, and Institutions, House Bill 966, was ratified by the General Assembly on June 27, 2019. Whereas House Bill 966 seeks to make appropriations from the general fund for the budgets of the departments, institutions, and agencies of the state of North Carolina and for other purposes as enumerated in the bill for each year of the 2019 to 2021 fiscal biennium. And whereas such funding includes appropriations for Iredell Statesville Schools, Mooresville City Schools, Mitchell Community College, and the Iredell County Agricultural Fairgrounds, as well as other appropriations for the benefit of the citizens of Iredell County. And whereas Governor Roy Cooper vetoed House Bill 966 on June 28, 2019, and whereas until such time as House Bill 966 is passed, appropriations for education and programs in Iredell County will continue to be on hold to the detriment of our citizens. And whereas in order to override the governor's veto and pass House Bill 966, a vote in the North Carolina Senate is necessary and will require support from both parties. Is there any further discussion on this matter?
Correct a little typo.
Okay.
Nothing on content. I just want to make the point, Senator Sawyer made the request. She's never done that before. She's been very, very good about keeping this board, and I know Town of Mooresville, Statesville, keeping the boards of elections up to date and informed about what's going on in Raleigh. I know that she's been frustrated because, there's, people always talk about teachers need a raise. All that funding is in this bill, and it's being held up for political games between the governor and basically the state Senate and the state House. So the fact that she's asked us to support this resolution, I don't think violates kind of our desire not to get involved in things that don't pertain to us, because the truth of the matter is half of our budget goes towards education, and both of our boards of education are a bit at an impasse because they don't have a budget from the state. That ripples into our lane. So I think that this is consistent with our policy that, let's say, if they were asking us if somebody wanted us to weigh in on federal spending on national forests and stuff, we just would not get involved with that because it's not related to what county commissioners do. But given the fact that the school systems are over half of what we finance, it makes total sense that we would weigh in on something like this when it appears to be stuck. So thank you, Senator Sawyer, for bringing this to our attention, and I'm glad to endorse this and support it and sign it, approve it.
As anything additional?
Well, this has actually been held up by the governor, am I correct?
Yep.
Okay.
It's basically the state budget. They've passed a few mini budgets, but we're currently operating under this year's current budget. And as Commissioner Robertson said, it has a very real impact on our budgeting process that is normally hitting high gear right now. And for half of our budget, at a minimum, and even more, to be unknown puts us behind the power curve, and it puts all of the schools behind the power curve. So we need some action. And this is held up due to a dispute over expansion of Medicaid that doesn't have anything to do with running the government as it's constituted now. So
it has everything to do with growing government, which the governor is of the party that wants to grow government, and the House and the Senate are of the party that at least attempts not to grow government and purports not to want to grow government. So that's what this battle is about. So school children are held as ransom. Let's be real clear with who's holding them ransom.
So is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So made. I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
A motion by Commissioner Robertson. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Iredell County Board of Commissioners that we strongly support, urge, and encourage the passage of House Bill 966 as currently written and in accordance with the State Budget Act and to the effect of making of the stated appropriations for the benefit and well-being of the citizens of Iredell County. This, the third day of March 2020, Iredell County Board of Commissioners.
So now that we've done this, where does it go?
It goes to the
Do we send it to
Senate.
All Senate members?
Senate, and send it to the House, send a copy to the governor.
Yes.
And this is basically in an effort to bring both sides of the aisle on board.
Yeah, let's move on. It's been enough political chicken.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, any further new business? The county manager's report.
Just two brief reports. One, just to remind everyone to please check the Iredell County website for all kinds of information regarding activities and services that are provided by county departments, as well as any job postings that we have in our county departments. We have over 25 different county departments. We list all of our positions that are open, and there is an online application for those positions, as well as communicating different services that we provide throughout our county department. So just a reminder for everybody to check that website if you're interested. Website's www.co.iredell.nc.us, or you could simply Google Iredell County NC. It'll come up in Google that way as well. And the second thing is just to thank the commissioners for a very successful winter retreat that we had on Friday the 21st. It was a long day, but it was a very productive day, and that is very important for staff and the budget team. As we move forward through the budget process, we get very clear direction and parameters from the board, which helps us in creating a very balanced budget for the board to review beginning in May at our budget workshops. So thank you for a very successful retreat. I think we covered a lot of items, and we got some really good direction from the board.
Thank you very much.
If I can, I want to recognize our county manager and your staff. At the winter retreat, you gave us a peek, not of every department's request, but you summarized some of the capital projects, some of the number of head count, that type of stuff. Which, I've served with 3 county managers, and they all did kind of the same thing in different ways, beginning with Joel Mashburn. But a lot of times there's a misperception that full-time county staff or full-time county department heads is part of this big bureaucracy that we tend to identify with Washington, D.C. or with Raleigh. That they're big and they just want to get bigger and they want to do more and more and more and more and take more money to do it. And if the public had any idea, our department heads are encouraged to ask and request everything that they need and some of what they want. And they do that, okay? But the first and second cut really, of the budget occurs at the senior staff level of Iredell County, where they go and they say, we're not going to spend money on that this year. It's just not a high enough priority. And they start whittling that budget to follow the guidance that this board is given. And I would just say that at our winter planning retreat, it just kind of reminded me once again, there's not a lot of whittling. It's a whole lot of cutting with a chainsaw that occurs early on in that process, and it's done by our staff who have you've adopted as your priorities our priorities. And I would say that you've done that very well, and that and that y'all are approaching it in the right way. Hats off to the staff for doing the hard things, and the public has to know that in order for us to save up money so that every few years we can say a big yes to our emergency services building, a big yes is our jail, okay? Those are big yeses. We have to say a lot of no's to a lot of people for a lot of years just to say yes that one time. And that's done at your level more so than ours. So my hat's off to you. Thank you very much for doing that. And I just, and the public needs to understand that we're not holding you back from spending all of their money. Y'all are actually very reflective of the desires of Iredell County and of this board. Thank you very much.
Can we say amen to that?
Yep.
Thank you, Beth. We had a closed session. We have one item to report out for economic development. Is that right?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to call for a public hearing on March 17th, 2020 at 7 p.m. regarding a maximum economic development incentive of $440,000 over a 5-year period for project coupling based on a $24.6 million investment in Iredell County.
Any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Robertson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. We had one additional item pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, subsection A6, regarding a personnel matter, which, because it's a personnel matter, will remain confidential. And the economic development item that I mentioned earlier is pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, subsection A4, for the record. Any further business to come before the Commission? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Norman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.
There you go.
You knew it was coming.